CBN Governor Olayemi Cardoso announced plans to clear the remaining forex backlogs within a week and a half, emphasizing reforms to address foreign exchange market issues. He spoke during a Nigerian Exchange Group call with foreign investors aimed at strengthening ties between Nigeria's financial sector and the global investment community. Joining me to unpack this is Azeez Lawal, the Managing Director, TrustBanc Asset Management Limited. Thank you, Azeez Lawal, for joining me today.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, let's begin with the occasion. Speak to the expected impact of this foreign portfolio investor call, and if you're confident, we'll start seeing them, in good numbers.
Yeah, thank you so much. The good thing is that expressing my confidence on the back of the call made yesterday to foreign investors. I can conveniently rely on what we've seen in the past, particularly when the CBN Governor spoke extensively on Arise TV, right? Those communication in the past, we've seen subsequently foreign investors relying on them and taking comfort from his words and coming into Nigeria. Like he mentioned himself, that that foreign investors inflows declined to 3 billion last year. But already this year we have received 2 billion. So on the back of that, I'm very confident that we'll see foreign investors take more comfort in coming into Nigeria and start coming in the coming weeks and months. Thank you.
But I like that you made reference to data. Still looking at that same data, January 2024 saw a decline in foreign investors' purchases of Nigerian stocks, and that was by approximately 9.7%. And we also saw investments dropping to 15.48 billion naira from 17.48 billion naira in December 2023. Now, this occurred despite a series of reforms aimed at attracting and keeping foreign investors. You've also talked about certain other things, that have been done. So what do you attribute this to?
Yeah, thank you. Interesting question, really. But the thing with equity investments is the fact that unlike other investments that usually love moving parts, aside from the country fundamentals, there's not specific company fundamentals. But before going to that, I would like to address this from the angle of share of the market. So a lot of the time when we analyze the composition or the share of foreign investors in the trades consummated on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, we compare it to the locals, right? So typically, when locals step up their game in terms of taking more share, definitely the share of local investors will drop. So it's not necessarily because they are not coming, but the fact that local investors are taking more, really. And we have seen that, PFAs and other institutional investors have stepped up their game in terms of taking up shares in the local market significantly. That's on the one side. Then on the second side, again, as a foreign investor, where I'm trying to come into a water that I'm not very sure, right? And I just want to test the water. I'd rather start with fixed income instruments where I know that's come. If I go and buy a OMO instrument or fixed income instrument or treasury bills, and know I'm going to get a certain fixed amount over a specified period of time, rather than coming to the equity market where I'm not sure that I may even recover my principal. That said, we expect that on the back of the call made yesterday, don't forget that the call was coordinated by the NGX, right? So on the back of that call, we expect that in the coming weeks, that foreign investors will begin to take position in Nigerian equities market, particularly banks that their dividend season is just around the corner. Thank you.
I like what you said, particularly because, the dividend season is around the corner, and that would spur anybody to want to play and, get that and then move on. But many have actually blamed. Were you saying something to me?
No.
All
Say
right.
very well.
Okay. Now, many have blamed most of Nigeria's economic challenges on the volatility of the foreign exchange market and, of course, insecurity, among other things. Interestingly, CBN seems determined to bring sanity and some form of stability to the market. And then we've seen so many circulars being issued in the past 8 weeks. And now the governor just talked about, clearing more backlogs. Would you say these moves have been able to bring that sort of stability or efficiency that we're looking forward to in the foreign exchange market in Nigeria? Are we beginning to see that?
Stability. Thank you for that question. Stability. And I think Mr. Cardoso has mentioned stability, has used the word stability more than any word, right? In the last 4 to 5 months, right? Because it's not really about the pricing, really. It's, I mean, even if the naira is going to exchange for 2,000 naira, right? If I can be sure that if I buy the naira today at 2,000 naira, if I come 6 months from now, the naira will still be doing 2,001 naira or 1999. Like, that's some stability, right? So it's not necessarily the pricing. So that's why, I mean, there's always that emphasis of stability. Talking about stability in the last in the last 60 days, I mean, if you judge the movement of the naira in the last 60 days, then you can't talk about stability, right? But what also has been observed outside all the circulars is the fact that there have been made a lot of distortions that you now don't kind of know the character of the market, right? So you need to address those distortions, and the CBN has taken significant steps to address some of those distortions, right? We saw from the way they treated Binance, right, and also how they treated the BDC, the local BDC operators on the streets, right, to kind of address the distortions where we know that if the naira is being sold at 1.5, that is the value of the naira. If the naira is being sold at 1.19, we know that's the fair value of the naira. Not that there are some individuals behind trying to walk around the value of the naira in their own to take advantage of it, right? So in terms of stability, some of the policies, some of the moves being taken to address those distortions, they've been very positive. I mean, this time last week, maybe the naira was trading as high as 1.930, right? I mean, currently now back to 1.5. So you can tell that whatever took you to those levels definitely was not ordinary. It's what you can attribute to distortions. We only hope that the moves of the CBN and the circulars to take care of transparency will further stabilize the naira going forward. Thank you.
I like how you also emphasized stability. I think that's like the word right now. A lot of persons or a lot of analysts will tell you they don't necessarily care about how much it exchanges, but what they want is stability, forgetting that we have people in the real sector who are interested in how much it's exchanged for, because at the end of the day, it will affect the price of bread. It will affect the price of rice. It will affect the price of cement. It will affect the price of so many things at the end of the day. So I hope that as we are trying to achieve this stability, we're also thinking about the real sector. We're also thinking about the ordinary Nigerian.
Yes, I mean, definitely. The pricing again. If it is priced higher, definitely the cost of things will be higher. Staple foods, materials. I mean, a lot of things will be higher, right? But government revenue also will be very high, right? It's going to reflect that pricing. So it's now the responsibility of government to make sure that that surplus gets to the people in terms of intervention, where you know that at the company, for example, you're going to get intervention from the government, maybe cheaper loans. On the back of that, you know that your funding costs will go down, even though your cost of materials will go up because of the pricing of the naira. But you know that your funding costs will go down because government are intervened with cheaper funds, right? So these are supposed to kind of provide some kind of balancing effect. If government also channels those surplus funds to addressing critical infrastructure, taking care of insecurity, this should address some of the challenges that we have. So again, if I'm sure if you go on the streets and those interventions they trickle down, people will not really be bothered about the fact that okay, they were buying bread 500 naira last year, but now it's now 700 naira. They will not be bothered about it the way they will be concerned about the fact that today it is 700 naira, next it is 750, 2 weeks after it's 7. That uncertainty gets to people more than actual prices eventually, particularly if government intervenes and it gets to the people the way it's supposed to. Thank you.
All right, so let's talk about the Forex backlog now, because that was something he mentioned there. So talk to me, how far-reaching is the clearing of the Forex backlog, which, going by estimates of the publicized clearance, puts the remaining backlog in the region of $1.8 billion. How far-reaching do you think that clearing of backlog is?
Yes. I mean, since Mr. Cardoso had made that very clear, that we can't be talking about transparency without actually being committed to that transparency in terms of addressing proven backlogs, right? And they have showed that, they have demonstrated that over time, right, where we've seen that they've cleared as much as 2 billion, right? And he also mentioned that, I mean, they cleared another $400 million last week, right? So leaving the net balance to around 1.8 billion. And he made mention yesterday that, I mean, the clearing that outstanding is only a matter of days, which is 1.8 billion, is only a matter of days away. And based on what he has said in the past and the action that has followed, we expect that will happen. So we are positive. I think a lot of those investors are actually positive, right? That if the CBN governor is committed to clearing those backlogs, as long as they have valid backlogs, which has been established. We have done the audit. We have established the backlogs are valid, and we're going to clear them over time. And it specifically mentioned that yesterday that is only a matter of days. Thank you.
All right, I think we should just close on this, and that's the fact that for some analysts, they see these recent moves as more administrative than structural. Apart from clearing the backlogs, which of course we know, why not just call that administrative? What other actions do you think the CBN should take to address the lack of supply of foreign currency in the country? Now, I want to leave this open, not just to the CBN, let's say maybe the government, and looking at the fact that most of these actions are only addressing the demand side rather than the supply side, which is more effective and even more enduring when it is, attended to. Speak to this, please.
Yeah, thank you. Interestingly, majority of the supply side, right, is going to come from the more of the fiscal side, right, where it's not like a kind of an obligation or responsibility of the CBN, really, because if you're talking about supply now, you're talking about, I mean, doing basic, the lowest hanging fruit when asked to do supply, the lowest historically is as just jack up your daily oil production. Is the lowest hanging fruit, right? I mean, we are talking about the country that used to average 2.2 million barrels per day before. Even if you just step up from 1.5 to 1.8, it's going to significantly boost supply, and that is more on the fiscal side, right? Not really the responsibility of the CBN. The only thing is that CBN is trying to be efficient in managing that supply, in the sense that the account of the NNPC is now with the CBN. Where we know that if this money is coming, they are coming directly to the CBN, right? So that's one side. There's also the low hanging fruits of catering to creatives, right? Like the Minister for Digital Economy, he's done a lot. He said a lot. The government should prioritize that, double down, and support his effort, particularly around creatives. We want to see more Nigerians doing skits. We want to see more Nigerians. Nigeria's music is now a global. It's now at that level where it is accepted globally. Let's send out more musicians. Let's get those very low hanging fruits where you know that you are taking care of youth employment, you are taking care of youth restlessness, and you are also bringing in FX. The low hanging fruits will really address those supplies. It's because what CBN really can do is more of ensure transparency, discipline, effective transmission of policy, and ensure that there are enough regulations that will ensure that everybody is playing within the same rules in the market. On addressing supplies more to the fiscal side, and we hope that government can take care of those low hanging fruits very, very quickly. Thank you.
All right, and maybe agriculture, exporting, and all of that. Well, thank you so much, Azeez Lawal, MD TrustBanc.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.